Republican Congressman Trent Franks of Arizona made one specific comment yesterday in response to a question about the Tucson tragedy that struck me as not only very classy, but as something that reflected a lot of honorable restraint and that I thought made a lot of sense.
At this point, I criticize others for making a political nexus or platform of political discussion out of this tragedy. So I'm going to avoid doing that myself.
That was Mr. Frank's response to a question about whether he would support a specific gun control measure that's been discussed in Congress recently. And that would comment, I think, I will refrain from making a political nexus or a platform or political discussion out of this tragedy. I will refrain from doing that. That was something that I thought reflected good judgment and some class from Congressman Trent Franks yesterday. On the other hand, here is something that Trent Franks said exactly 34 seconds before he said that.
You know, I wish there had been one more gun there that day in the hands of a responsible person. That's all I have to say.
If only there had been one more gun there that day. You know, Arizona is one of the most highly armed states in the nation. It is very easy to get guns there. A lot of people there have guns. There, in fact, was a man on scene at the shooting in Tucson, a witness to the shooting on Saturday, a responsible gun owner who had his legal weapon loaded and on him at the time of the shooting. He was a guest on Ed Schultz's show this week.
As I came out of the door of the Walgreens there, I saw several individuals wrestling with him, and I came running. I was already at a full sprint, and you know, it's no time to think about anything. I saw another individual holding the firearm. I kind of assumed he was the shooter, so I grabbed his wrist and you know, told him to drop it and forced him to drop the gun on the ground. When he did that, everybody says, no, it's this guy, it's this guy. And I proceeded to help hold that man down.
Did you ever think of drawing your firearm, or you made the determination you didn't have to?
So when I came through the door, I had my hand on the butt of my pistol and I clicked the safety off. I was ready to kill him. But I didn't have to do that, and I was very blessed that I didn't have to go to that place. Luckily, they'd already begun the solution, so all I had to do was help. If they hadn't grabbed him and he had been still moving, I would have shot him. I almost shot the man holding the gun.
I almost shot the man holding the gun, he said. So, to be clear, to everybody who's reacted to this shooting by saying that they wish there'd been somebody other than the killer with a gun at that scene, there was someone other than the killer with a gun at the scene. And the person he almost shot was one of the heroes who had just disarmed the killer. I understand there are a lot of fantasies about guns and about heroism involving guns. But in this specific case, the fantasy that an armed, responsible gun owner is all that would have been needed to have prevented this tragedy, that is disproved by what actually did happen. It could have gone a different way, but this is how it actually went. When you talk about the fantasy of there being a responsible armed gun owner at the site of that shooting on Saturday, it is not a hypothetical. That really happened. And it did not work out according to Trent Franks' fantasy about that. Beyond that specific instance, though, in the aggregate, it is also worth understanding the facts. Louis Gohmert of Texas this week has proposed in response to this shooting that members of Congress carry guns onto the floor of the House of Representatives. Unlike EJ, who raised this issue for the Senate, I think as a sort of modest proposal. He discussed that in the last segment. When Louis Gohmert brought this up, he was not kidding. A gun enthusiast group in Arizona even suggested that the state be required to arm all of its elected officials. They be forced to carry guns. And, you know, there is a John Wayne, Jerry Bruckheimer, Yosemite Sam fantasy about what guns can do. That the more guns there are in a place, the safer that place will be. Who, after all, would try to make a victim of any gun holder? Again, I understand the fantasy, but it is worth understanding what's true. In 2004, a national blue ribbon panel of statistics and criminology experts looked into whether or not right-to-carry laws reduced crime in states that have them. Their conclusion, famously, was, they don't know. They were completely unable to come to any statistical conclusion about it at all. A brilliant academic second look at all of the data available on the question suggests that if anything, if there's anything that can be discerned from the data, maybe right-to-carry laws produce more aggravated assaults. Because people who are armed feel emboldened to punch each other more and to threaten to shoot each other while they're punching each other? I don't know. But that's it. That's the only suggestion that's evident in the data. It's not proven that more guns equal less crime. More guns do not equal less crime. The statistical evidence on this in aggregate does not support the fantasy. And if you want to just look at the blunt numbers, the states that have the highest rates of people being killed by guns in this country are by and large the states that have the highest number of guns per capita. Here are the states with the 5 worst rates of gun deaths: Louisiana, Mississippi, Alaska, Alabama, and Nevada. Here are the rates of gun ownership in those states. Relatively high gun ownership rates. Right? Relatively high gun ownership rates, highest gun death rates. Here are the states with the lowest rates of gun deaths in the country: Hawaii, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, Connecticut, and New York. Here are the gun ownership rates in those states. Compare them. Compare the list on the left and the list on the right. These are the states with the lowest rates of gun death, and those are their comparatively low rates of gun ownership. So again, I understand the fantasy. Everybody wants to believe that superheroes with superpowers, with super firepower, that they can stop bad things from happening. It is a beautiful fantasy. The facts do not support the assertion, though, that more guns equals less crime, or that a law-abiding citizen with a gun would have made all of the difference in Tucson. Regardless of your political views about guns, there are facts. They are worth looking up on issues like this. They matter.